Hi everyone, Dave here. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Legends of the Spire. Glad you can join us. On the podcast today, I spoke to Scott Griffiths. Now, Scott was a member of the Chesterfield squad in the 2010-11 season. That amazing first season at what was then called the B2 Net, when we went on to win League Two in swashbuckling style, scoring lots of goals. Scott was one of the fullbacks, playing on the left-hand side of defence. Is well remembered for bombing up and down that left wing and getting a couple of assists in the title clinching game against Gillingham. Scott started his career in the non-league and then with Dagenham. Played loads and loads of games for Dagenham while he was still doing a pizza round. So really fun to talk to him about those days. And then he had a big move to Peterborough when Peterborough were snapping up all the best young players in the country, it seems, that were around the lower leagues at that time. He then finished his career at Luton, and it was really interesting speaking to him about what happened at that tail end of his career. And yeah, I really enjoyed having a chat with him. Some great memories whenever we speak to anyone from a title-winning season. There's always some great stories to tell. As always, we're at Spire Legends on Twitter and Legends of the Spire on Facebook, so do get in touch. Great to hear from you. Loads of people are emailing and messaging in. I really love hearing from everyone that gets in touch. So here we are with the latest episode of Legends of the Spire with Scott Griffiths. Legends of the Spire! So yeah, you're a Londoner, aren't you? So
yeah, I mean, born in Westminster. So I think I lived in London for 2 years. As a baby, moved to a little town a little place in Thurrock called Ockenden. Not the greatest of places, but it was all right growing up. And yeah, just played football and pretty much played football on the streets with my mates growing up, school teams, that sort of thing. And eventually, as harsh as it sounds, escaped Ockenden when I was 24.
So you've got like a plethora of teams to support, to choose from down there. So who's your team?
I'm going to be honest. Only as a kid did I really sort of support a team, and even as I was growing up, I never really supported a club. But if it was a club, because of my family and where we were from, it'd be West Ham. And they've made some improvements over the years. I must say they've definitely upped their game. I might even put them down for a cheeky Premier League win next year.
Do a Leicester City.
Exactly.
So do you like? I suppose that's quite interesting actually. So do you really like passionately support them, or is it just like No,
it's I even when I was playing, I couldn't tell you who played for who. Like some of the other lads, they could reel off team statistics. Oh, this player played for that club and now he's doing this. And 5 minutes into the conversation, I'd be lost, to be honest. I never really followed football outside of playing it. Obviously, I love watching the games. You've had some great players to watch, some great teams to watch, but I never really paid much attention to like the statistical side of it. I mean, I probably should have. Looking back, I probably should have given it a bit more thought. I might have even had a couple of people to not look up to, but to take a few tips off of. Like when I was a kid, my sort of, because I didn't really know many others, Roberto Carlos was a name that used to get thrown around, and he was obviously the same position I was. So I used to, I'm going to be Roberto Carlos as a kid.
And then you ended up at, was it Southend when you were kind of teenager for a couple of years?
Yeah. It sort of come off of the back of the kids team that I was in, Beach United, which was based sort of around Pitsea, Basildon area, sort of near Southend. Mm-hmm. And the last season I was there, we had a fantastic season. We went unbeaten in the league for 3 years. And on the last sort of season that I was there when I was 12, we done the treble unbeaten. I think we drew 2 games the whole season and obviously won 2 cups as well. I mean, a lot of that was thanks to one of my old friends who he in my opinion, he could have made it. He just, I think he broke his leg in a school football game. My mate Ray Gibbs, he was phenomenal. At the time that I went to Southend, he come to Southend with me, but he did have the option of actual offers from Man United and Arsenal at the time, which was for me, it's devastating for him because he decided to come to Southend because he was my friend, I was his friend. We wanted to play together. Had he not come to me, had he like moved away and gone to one of those clubs, I truly believe it'd be at minimum Championship still, or maybe back into retiring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we went to Southend after a trial after the cup final was played at Southend Stadium, which was that was a great experience. Couldn't quite fill it with our little Sunday side, but yeah, had 3 years there, and it was a good 3 years. I can weirdly enough almost remember the time when I went from being slow to all of a sudden just bursting through with pace, and even my secondary school PE teacher and my dad at the same time said, "Where did that come from? He's never been quick." So out of nowhere, something happened and something changed, and it was during the period of being at Southend United. So I don't know if I can credit them for it, but
Yeah, it's funny how those things kind of click in, don't they, at some point? So then you nearly got into the England under-19s, didn't you? Was it like an injury or something?
It was actually. I've travelled around the country doing the trials. It was really good. It was fantastic. Happened to play really well at the trials. Went to Lillyshaw. I think that's what it was. Was it? Yeah, Lillyshaw. There was two separate trials at Lillyshaw. The first one got through fine, done well. The second one, unfortunately, I was playing for my side, Averley Football Club. I think it was, what was I? must have been about, I suppose 18, 19 at the time. And the week before, I think I was actually playing left midfield for Averley, and I've gone on a run, and someone has taken me out, gone through me, and smashed my ankle. So I come off, tried to ice it, rest it, done everything I could. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have played. I mean, it was a league game, but realistically, it probably wasn't probably nowhere near as important as like the final trial, which was 1 week later. So yeah, I was a bit gutted. I did go to the trial, and I did try to hobble along and hobble about, but I just remember it being too painful to really do more than about 10, 15 minutes. And I don't know what the other lad's name was, but obviously they chose him, and I bet that was the closest I got at the time, and it was gutting. It was upsetting, but you move on and try and forget about it.
Yeah, I suppose you kind of at that age you just want to play every game, don't you? And
yeah, definitely
bulletproof, don't you? I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, at one stage, this was stupid. I have to say, it was silly what I was doing. But at one stage, whilst I was at college, I was playing because I was in the county football club as well. And although I shouldn't have done because it is reckless, every now and then I had like a little Sunday side for a laugh with mates, and I made sure that I stayed well away from everybody because we all know what a Sunday side sort of, you get stuck in, but you get really stuck in.
Yeah.
So one particular week, as I say, I know it was stupid. I think I played 5 games in a week. And by the end of it, I was like, I managed to make it through the whole lot without injury, without anything like that. So I got really lucky, but looking back now, it was just so stupid, but fun at the same time, good experience.
And then you kind of made your name, I suppose, at Dagenham, didn't you? You were there for like what, 6 seasons or something? You there?
That's right. Yeah, just short of six full seasons. Yeah, so I signed for them on an absolute pittance. It was, put it this way, at the time my pizza delivery driving job was paying more. I needed to get my foot in the door as a young lad, and I got sucked in. And to John Steele's credit, he knew that I wanted to play. He knew that I wanted to be at the club, and I think he used my naivety and my youth to get me on a good deal. I did once play a game against Grays Athletic for Dagenham, still young, still on poor wages, so still delivering pizzas at Grays Athletics ground. And then in the background, as I was taking a throw on, I actually heard someone shout, "I'm sure he delivered my pizza the other night." And I just burst out laughing as I was playing. I just I didn't turn around, I just run off, thinking the stuff that we used to do just to try and get by.
Yeah. And what's John still like? Because he just seems like a proper
He's
manager.
he's a good manager. It's no nonsense for starters. I mean, the more I played with him, as the years went by at Dagenham and then at Luton, I think he did change his ways a little bit. We didn't play we played football when we could, but we didn't play up from the back as much for the first few seasons. I think his game was more based on sort of statistics and doing the right thing at the right time. Like, we used to get quoted all sorts of stats about, you can't, they can't score if the ball's not in the box, for instance. Like, don't mess about with it. Don't do silly tip-tap passes in places you shouldn't be. Stick it in the corner, let the strikers get onto it and then squeeze up. But I will say this, I mean, other than being a good manager, I will say this for him and his squads. Nobody seemed to be able to last with us after our pre-seasons, which were brutal. If you could last a pre-season with John Still, let alone, I think, 9 in the end that I eventually end up doing with him. If you could last one pre-season with John Still and come through it without getting an injury or turns out a hernia, which I think 3 of our lads got in one season, then you've done well. It showed how strong you were. And yeah, fitness-wise, we could run teams into the ground, which is partly how we done so well when we won the league at Dagenham. It was an incredible season. We've got better as the season went on. A few new lads coming in. The fitness kicked in, and we just used to steamroll teams, as John used to say. And I learned quite a bit under him. One of the more interesting things I learned under John Steele was don't throw back in a game under pressure, or I will sub you off. Luckily, I only done it once, and I never got subbed for it. But I was always weary after that.
So what does he do in those pre-seasons that makes them so grueling?
Well, it's so you do your typical Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You'll start with a bleep test. I mean, I'm pretty sure every player that ever played under him has got this imprinted in their mind. It never really changed. Start with a bleep test. 10 minutes later, 2.4k around a running track as quick as you can. If you don't beat it the next day, so you do that, and then you do other bits of fitness and a bit of football. Same in the afternoon. You come back the next day, Tuesday, you don't do the bleep test, but you do the 6 laps again straight away. If you don't beat it, then the next day, it's as if you're doing your second one again. So eventually we do about 4 lots of these 2.4k runs, absolutely blowing by the end of it, because it was always in the height of summer. If you get to the 4th one, I think it was the 3rd or the 4th one, and you hadn't improved on your time each time, you'd have to do another one. So people made sure, they had to make sure, because nobody wanted to go through that again. And then it was just a case of mixing it in with football. But I just remembering, you just reminded me of some of the stuff we had to do during pre-season. Jumping over hurdles, down, up, press up. It was always the same though. It was if you don't do it right, if you don't throw the ball high enough for him to jump, if you don't sprint the whole time, I don't care if you're 1 volley away from the end of the session, I will take it back and start it again, and all of you will start again. So, it instilled the right attitude, which was good. But,
sounds like SAS Who Dares Wins or something like that. He'd probably be good on that.
You know what, SAS Who Dares Wins would be a breeze now, to be honest.
Obviously, you've won what is the National League twice, haven't you? Because you did it with Dagenham and Luton.
That's right. Yes.
So what do you think it takes to get out of that league? What does a team need?
For starters, the team needs to be gelled, like to the point of as if you're actual family. You need to spend time together. At Dagenham, we called ourselves the Crazy Gang. We were such a close-knit bunch of lads, so tight. We used to like go out after training, like we'd go to things like Fright Night at Fort Park together, you know, with nights out. I mean, the gaffer would sometimes organise after training like trips to go bowling or to go to the dog track, or so that we'd have an understanding of each other, you know, like just so that everybody had bonded, gelled. I mean, that's just for starters. A ridiculously high level of fitness is another, as you know, under Stilly, both at Luton and at Dagenham. The fitness was immense. Only difference at Luton was we could actually afford to do a training camp, which was in Portugal, which made it all the more hard because it was in even hotter temperatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the commitment, you needed a commitment. He doesn't care if you don't play well. I mean, play well preferably, but you need to be committed. You can't do anything half-harsh. You can't go through the motions. As long as you put the effort in 100% all the time, show that you've left everything on the pitch. That's what it takes. I mean, obviously you need a little bit of luck, like everybody does, like the ball bounces one way or another. But generally it's not, it doesn't take too much. It just takes the commitment of 100% commitment to those few things. And yeah, he obviously had the right formula.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then you moved to Peterborough. So like at the time, like any good player from a lower division, Peterborough kind of snapped him up, didn't they?
Yeah.
I guess under Darren Ferguson, it was a bit more technical than it was under John Still.
A little bit. We didn't actually speak that much. He was Fergie was only there for like 10 weeks, probably less than that, because I obviously went on loan. Excuse me, sorry. I went on loan to Peterborough originally. Obviously, it was in the contract to sign properly in January, but by the time I'd already got there in October, they was already sitting bottom and not doing that well. They weren't winning games, and I'm not sure that we were even playing that great, and just getting unlucky. But because of that, Darren Ferguson didn't have that long there while I was there. He did. I got to be honest. It was a bit nerve-wracking going up to the champ. Some of the players I played with before, because they come from my club. So like Craig McCall-Smith. I played against George Boyd, Stevenage, a couple of other lads. Kind of a bit hazy on the names. Dominic Green was already there. Great little player. But I think being at Peterborough, I think he said it ruined him. I'm not sure quite why now. But a couple more seasons in a lower league, like the League Two, to really give him some experience would have been better. But yeah, it was a bit daunting going up there. And he's brought me in the office one day and just said, "Look, you're here. You don't need to you don't have to worry. You don't have to panic. Don't be thinking that things are going to go wrong or bad. You're here. Just relax. Just enjoy it." And so I started to enjoy it a bit more and started to because I'd never really been at a club where they tried to play as much football. I mean, and obviously the clubs that you played against were a lot higher standard. You have, you had some players and clubs coming out of the Premiership, which you could see. I mean, I didn't play in the game. I sat on the bench, unfortunately, but the game against Newcastle, for starters, the stadium is immense. Just looking up, absolutely immense. But watching that from the sidelines, I mean, wishing I could get on, but I wasn't quite there with him yet. But just to see the standard of the play you're playing against, and everybody looks like they've got so much time and so much space, when that's not the case. They just make it look that way, and really it's like such a good standard, and sort of it makes you realise just how much higher the Premiership is from there, really, because if they're this good, then what are the best players like in the Prem?
23 minutes into the new campaign came the first goal. Craig Davis cross finding Drew Talbot, who hooked the ball back for Dwayne Mattis to write his name in the history books. Leicester found his target less than a quarter of an hour into the second half. Danny Whittaker with the incisive pass, and the man making his 100th league start for the Spyrites made room for himself to get off the mark for the season. A nervy last 20 minutes was made even worse when John Sheridan's side were reduced to 10. Davies' lunge on Steve Cabber meant he saw red. A new home and a new season off to a great start.
So then Peterborough got relegated, didn't they? And then, so you ended up coming to Chesterfield on loan, like right before the season started. It's not like you did pre-season with us or anything, did you? I think it was pretty much right before we started, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the one training session I got the one day before the first game on the Friday. Met the lads that day. Stayed in the I think it was Ringwood Hall or something like that. It was a lovely little place. Stayed there the night before. I didn't want to go on loan, not because it was Chesterfield, just because I felt that I was close to making it where I wanted to be, being in the Championship. And when I was told that, like, you know, you need to go out on loan, it was kind of heartbreaking. I thought, I've come this far and now I've let myself down, or whatever was going through my head at the time. And it could have been anybody. It could have been a League One side, a League Two side. It wouldn't have mattered. The fact was, I felt upset that I was going out on loan. But looking back now, it was the best decision at the club that I'd made, because it got me to meet a great bunch of lads, another league winning title, and a few interesting back and forths with John Sheridan.
Yeah.
The training session was great on the Friday. And although I started on the bench on the Saturday, when I come on, oddly enough, from the left back who was there at the time, got an injury a short way into the second half.
Ian Morris? Was it Ian Morris?
That's right. Yes. And it was kind of a blessing for me, obviously not for him, poor lad, but for me it was a blessing because it managed to get me on the field. And from there, I don't know if it was in John Sheridan's plans originally, but from there, I think I played every game up until my loan ended. And stepping onto the pitch like that, all of a sudden, a wave of something washes over you. You realise that actually, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, obviously, people want to be playing in front of big crowds, big stadiums. But, I mean, I was looking at the stats earlier, actually. I think the smallest crowd Chesterfield played in front of was like 4,000. Which is a great crowd, and they always had great fans. They had just a great atmosphere. The new stadium was fantastic to play in as well. It was an honour. Realistically, it was an honour to be able to play in the new stadium, especially as much love as the fans have for the old stadium. I played against Chesterfield a few times in the old stadium, and it was difficult on that pitch, I will say.
And I was going to ask you actually about whether you had a sense of, because obviously for the fans, it was really exciting to go to that brand new stadium. And it was, you know, the excitement was building for ages. I remember that first match. I remember like the pre-season game, I think it was against Derby or someone, how exciting it was. And I was going to ask you whether you had any sense of what Chesterfield had come from and gone to, but obviously you did if you'd played at Saltergate before.
Yeah, I'd had a couple of games there. I'd seen a little bit of TV footage as well where they showed the last games, not necessarily the last game, but some of the games where fans have run on the pitch, and sort of obviously between playing there and seeing the footage, you do get an idea. It was like an old ground, but a very loved ground with lots of memories. And looking at it, you can never get those sorts of almost, I suppose it's nostalgic, is it? Those sorts of nostalgic moments, or it's nostalgic. I mean, like Forest Green, their old ground was, I don't know how, if atrocious is a nice way of putting it, but playing there, it was one of the worst pitches I'd ever played on. But at the same time, this remembering the cold changing rooms and their dodgy pitch, and it's like those things that make you. And like, I suppose a lot of the lads, I think like Jack Lester, he was a long-term server at Chesterfield. He played, I think I might have played against him a couple of times at the old ground. And so he obviously knows what it was like to play there. And I bet it felt like luxury playing on a carpet in comparison.
John Sheridan then, how does he compare to other managers you've worked under?
He's, well, I've never done a pre-season under him, but his training was interesting from what I can remember. I mean, as I say, I've headed a lot of balls in my time, so I'm trying to remember back 10 years, which is not quite as easy as you'd think. But Yeah, I do remember the games we used to play in training, the types of things that we used to practice. I remember getting in one or two arguments with him on the side of the pitch during the game because he'd said something to me that at the time it's probably sort of funny to him or even to me now looking back, but he'd said something that was quite annoying or offensive at the time. The ball needed to be cleared, and I just, it was in the area, and men around me. I thought, clear it. They can't score if it's an air off. Launch it, squeeze up. As I run past him, he said, "Stop launching it. You're not playing for Dagenham now." It's like, oh, well, you can't say that. So I almost stopped running and walked towards him and said, "Look, what's that all about? Come on, don't." But I was like, "Nah, I've got to hold my tongue. I'll be professional, be professional." And as I said to you earlier, I didn't even realise what he'd done or who he was, other than just the manager of Chesterfield before I come there.
Yeah.
And people were saying, "Oh, like, don't you know, like, who he used to play for?" I was like, "Not really. He's my manager, and he's like, I don't do sneaky research on everybody beforehand." But obviously, he had a good career himself.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. He's definitely got a reputation for saying some rather curt things from the sidelines. He's got into trouble a few times, I think, for things that he's said from the sidelines. So it doesn't surprise me. So, and then so you and Jack, because Jack Hunt was on loan at the same time, wasn't he? So he was on the other side at right back, and you were kind of on the left. And
That's right, yeah.
I don't really remember you both defending that much. I'm probably playing you down. You probably did quite a lot, but it almost felt like you were attacking a lot as fullbacks that season.
We done a lot of defending when the time called for it, but we were both, realistically, natural, not attackers, but it's like anything in training. Like when they're putting on the shooting session and they're making you go and like do heading or a bit of defending, like you're like, oh God, let me go and sort of do some attacking. Like we're both very attacking minded. I saw a bit of footage from Jack when he went back to his home club. Was it Match of the Day or whatever program it was on at the time? I can't once again I can't remember now. But I see him playing for his parent club, and he was there again. He was like up the wing, attacking, sort of full of energy, full of life, and yeah, I mean he was a good lad as well. He was a nice guy. So it was good to see that he done well for himself. Yeah,
it's funny as well because like wing backs now are so important, aren't they? They've become over the years. It's evolved and they've become one of the key positions. And you've seen it just in like the European Championships how important it is to have really good wing backs. It's funny how that position's kind of evolved, isn't it, over the years?
Yeah, you need someone who can sort of do a job in both attack and defence. I mean, just for nothing else, if nothing else, to be able to change your shape if you need to. I started my Dagenham career as a left back, but John Steele soon quickly realised that I like to attack, but also use my youth and my fitness against me, and said, right, that's it, you're up and down now, you'll get back, you'll get forward, and you'll run yourself into the ground. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. As long as I get to go forward. And yeah, so I sort of learned some of the wing back sort of stuff from playing there actually, under Stilley. It was more just the relentless fitness of the position itself that you need. It's good to know how to cross the ball, and from my recollection, I think I put in a fair few decent crosses over my time, over my 12-year period.
And like that first part of the season you were with us, obviously asking you to remember back like over 10 years, but there was a few good standout games, weren't there, at that time? And I always, whenever I speak to anyone, I've spoken to Dwayne Mattis and Drew Talbot from this period, and that 5-5 with Crewe, I think you played in that one, didn't you?
I'm pretty sure I made one or two little errors, and then worked as hard as I possibly could to try and rectify those. I think I might have slipped for the first goal. The ball's come. I could be mistaking it for a different game. But as I say, if it's the one I'm thinking of, I've slipped for a goal. As the ball's coming towards me, I've gone to head it, slipped, it's bounced over me. I'm the last man. I've chased back, but it's just slotted it in. But things happen, and the fight back, because I'm fairly certain they were ahead once or twice.
Yeah, I think it was like 4-1 at half time, maybe, or something like that. And we
That's
came back
right.
to draw it 5-5. I think.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure one of our young lads scored, actually.
Yeah, it was Craig Clay that scored in
That was it, Craig Clay. I have got it right. Yeah, and that was a
last
good
minute.
goal as
Yeah,
well. It was a very good goal. Just hoping he's still playing because he was a nice lad and he was a good player as well, actually.
yeah. I think he was at Leighton Orient last time,
Oh, really? Brilliant.
something like that. He was doing pretty well for himself. I think. Yeah, still definitely around. So like the players in that squad then, because there was some stellar players. Obviously, you got Jack Lester and Craig Davis up front, who just never missed that season. And even defence, it was funny really, because there's like you and Jack Hunt that were just marauding fullbacks.
Yeah.
And then you had Dwayne Mattis, who was like put in defence, who was really a centre midfielder. So it was really.
Well, he scored some goals as well. In preparation for this, I watched a little bit of footage, and when Craig Davis got his red card, looking back, he got the man. But yes, he got the ball first. And in my eyes, if you get the ball first, the guy's got to get out of the way, or you're going to get hit, and you. I don't think it was a red card, but when he got his red card, it seemed, according to the footage, that Dwayne took his place temporarily and scored some important goals. I mean, he got us in positions where we got a draw instead of a loss.
I've spoken to a couple of players now, and they said it was quite a focused squad. It wasn't really like a jokey squad. It was quite focused. What was your meaning of it?
It was a focused squad, but at the same time, you did have one or two little jokers. Craig Davis every now and then, he'd come out with something stupid, or like we'd be pulling pranks. There would be some silly times. Jack Lester, he had a laugh every now and then. Trying to think back to some of the stuff that we used to do. I'm pretty sure we had a little cards table going for away journeys. So that's very important. I will say that if you're traveling on a coach or a train or wherever it is that you may be traveling to, you need a cards table on the coach. And 9 times out of 10, if there's a cards table, I'll be on there because I get bored in journeys. But yeah, that once again, the same as it was with Dagenham, you had that same thing here. You had a togetherness, you had a trust in each other. But I'd say the difference was at that time, as accurately as I can remember it, the passing ability of the Chesterfield squad was probably the best team I've been in up to that point, at least. And even in the other loan places that I went out to, Chesterfield could pass the ball like proper football better than any other team that I'd played for at the time. And my own game improved because of that, because I was forced to do stuff that I'd never really done that well before. I mean, I could defend and I could head and kick and all that stuff, but to be able to really play proper football, passing, intricate stuff, it was a pleasure to be around. Whitaker, he was obviously running things from the centre midfield. It always felt like I was linking up with him, or he'd be over the other side linking up somewhere. It seemed to go through him a lot, and I think he was a really important player at the time. And he definitely helped, as well as everybody did, help to bring my own game on, as far as the actual technical passing side of it goes. So for that, obviously, once again, I'm thankful to them.
But was it quite, because your loan ran out in November, didn't it? So I think you were maybe on initially like a 1-month loan or something, and then it was extended. I can't quite remember. And then it ran out in November, didn't it? So you were gone for a little bit, and then came back in January. So were you?
Yeah,
you
that wasn't
to get back.
That wasn't a good time away. I went back to the club. I don't know if you've spoken to anybody else who's been on loan, or if you knew this anyway, but or it might have just been Peterborough. I don't know. But when you're out of favour, they don't treat you well. They for the time that I was back on loan, and for quite a lot of the other times, if you're not in the first team, then they make you train with the youth team, they make you train with the under-17s, which is a bit embarrassing, a bit demoralising. And even the fitness and the sharpness, it's like you don't get the same sort of thing that you need as a player. And there was some of that. So getting back to Chesterfield, playing with, sort of, no disrespect to Peterborough's slightly younger lads, they were all good lads and they all had ability and fitness, but getting back to a proper first team, a men's team where you could be challenged mentally, physically, it was nice to get back to. But once again, I think it was my own stupid fault for my indecisions and my disappointment at the start of the season. I think there possibly was the opportunity to do the full season, but being, well, I didn't feel young at the time, but looking back, I probably was like young and young-minded about it. And I sort of was a bit nervous about doing a full season and that's it. And something in my mind was saying, no, like, test the waters rather than just dive right in. So I think that's how it come about, that I was only a bit here and a bit there rather than the full season.
Yeah.
But coming back, obviously, I come back to the same thing. I come back to a great squad. I come back to a good feel around the club, because at that point and to the end of the season, we didn't lose more than one game in a row. We might have had a draw, then a loss, but that's another statistic. Statistics learned from John Still, of course. At Dagenham and at Chesterfield, and I'm fairly certain, I might be wrong, but possibly even at Luton, we never lost more than one game in a row. I'm pretty sure that's, obviously you need to be winning games all the time, but you probably could go win a league and lose 2 or 3 in a row. But I don't think I remember ever losing more than one game in a row, at the very least, at Dagenham and Chesterfield, which was a great achievement for the football club.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're going to win a league, you need to make sure that you like stop any bad runs of form straight away, don't you?
That's it. Yeah, like get rid of the rot. Make sure, even if it's just a draw still gives you a foothold. And so you don't want to start that slippery slope. You don't want that sliding process, because then it's hard to come back from. You've seen plenty of clubs in the past sit in first or second position for like the first half of the season, and then something happens and they drop out and they don't even make the playoffs. And it's happened on many occasions. So you're right. It's the foothold. If you can keep a foothold in it, then you stand a chance.
By now, Chesterfield were looking a shoo-in for promotion, if not the title itself just yet. Early pressure against Northampton from Davis and Whittaker almost bore fruit. But they had to wait 18 minutes into the second half before Leicester's endeavours were eventually rewarded by Davis. Chesterfield were now in full flow. 3 minutes later, Scott Griffiths set up Leicester for a second. There was a nervy last 10 minutes though, when Andy Holt headed in to make it 2-1.
And there was some, like that title running, and there were some big games against teams that were in and around us at the top of the league that felt like they should be really nervous. And then we beat Wycombe 4-1. I remember that was the game where I thought, oh, we're definitely going up, when we beat them 4-1. And then there was obviously the 5-0 against Rotherham, which was live on TV as well, which was really good.
It's glorious. Just, the fact that it was on TV made it all the more sweet. It was a good win. A bit hazy on some of the details, but I am kind of remembering the euphoria of we've just done this, and it's live and everybody's seen it, and people know that we're going up, we're going to be the champions. It's the chances at that point of us not being the champions were just non-existent in people's minds, and obviously we were right.
Final games of the season in that Chesterfield title win, it was almost felt like there was a point where we were nearly going to throw it away. And I don't think that we lost to Bury, and I don't think there was any.
We lost and then we drew, didn't we?
Yeah, and I don't think there was ever a point where I thought we weren't going to win the league. But looking back at it now, there was kind of a few results where I thought, we were.
Yes, it's always that thing, trying to step across the line, getting to the line always seems to be the easy part, but stepping across the line, making that final commitment to, yes, we've won. It happens, and we didn't choke in the end. We done well. We got the results we deserved, but I think we were unlucky not to do it at was it Torquay? Yeah, was it 0-0 away at Torquay?
Then it went to the last game, didn't it, against Gillingham? Which, I mean, it's great to win the win the league at home on the last day is actually a really nice way to do it, isn't it?
Amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I think it was a packed house as well. It must have been 10,000 plus people. I'm just looking back, as I say, I watched some of the goals earlier, a few fun memories, and it just reminded me. I'm pretty sure that I got 2 assists in that game, so I was well happy with that.
It was the last goal that I think Dean Smalley scored it, maybe.
That's right, yeah, Dean Smalley.
Which was a great little run from you and kind of slid it across the box for him.
Yeah, remembering back, I picked the ball up sort of in between our box and the halfway line, but on the wing, and started running, and almost said to myself, "What are you doing?" But I like kept going. It's like, you got to stop this in a minute. I mean, yeah, but no, kept going, and somehow managed to sort of like slide around the last player, almost on the touchline, and just whipped it across. And he was just in a great position and just put it home. I think the first cross was for Jack Lester. Great finish again, just little back of his foot, turn his foot out, put it in, and then yes, it's almost identical. Not too dissimilar.
The Spireites responded within 9 minutes though, Scott Griffiths teeing up Jack Lester to score goal number 17 for the season. And the title was made safe when Griffiths again undid the Gillingham defence to supply Dean Smalley with the third.
And yeah, just the atmosphere after the game was phenomenal. It was, everybody was having a good time. The fans made the season as well. Like, we actually, come to think of it, we still speak. More my wife than me, because she's a lot better with this stuff. But I do try and keep in contact with a couple of fans. I don't know if they still go to the games. I think they go to away games. I'm not sure if they've got time for all of it. Mick and Jane Umney, lovely couple, really nice people. And yeah, so we still keep in contact every now and then. That actually, when we got married, they actually they were on our Chesterfield guest list. Actually, they made it to the wedding down in Forest Green, actually. Beautiful little place at the bottom of the hill. But it's nice that you had fans that were that lovely to get on with. And even that evening, we went out. We thought, what do we do? So we went to a local pub, a pub known for hosting Chesterfield fans, and we went inside, and the place was jumping, and the atmosphere was great, and it was nice to spend it, because I think a lot of the lads, they basically went off and done their own thing. So there was a few lads who sort of went back to where they were living and spent time there, sort of wherever it was in the country. But I was still staying overnight in Chesterfield. I was like, yeah, let's go. Took my wife Ree, and I'm pretty sure my dad was there as well. I'm sure there was one other person. It might have even been the Mrs. Mum. All went out to the pub, to the Chesterfield fans pub, and had a great night. And they sort of, once again, they made it for us. It was so nice to see everybody having a good time.
Yeah. What's it like when you win the league like that? Is it more? Does it feel really euphoric, or is it kind of a bit of a? Because I imagine at the end of a tough season as well, you're pretty knackered and you just want to probably sleep for a couple of weeks. Yeah, but you must have that euphoria of winning the league as well.
You do think like, oh, thank God we're finally there. Like, the season's over. We can have a bit of sort of time to let little niggles or injuries just like heal up a bit. But at the same time, yeah, the euphoria of the whole thing, knowing that you've just done something, you just had an achievement that's in most cases the rest of your life is going to be unmatchable. I mean, I know that I've won a couple of other leagues, but the feeling doesn't change. Like when I went at Dagenham, I know it was my first season, my first league, and we went mental, and it was crazy. And we almost jumped so hard and upstairs in the clubhouse that we almost put the ceiling through. I felt the floor going, which was incredible. But it was like that sort of feeling again at Chesterfield. Everybody was happy, dancing, singing. I mean, because for some players, they don't get more than one chance in a lifetime for that. A couple of the guys I've played with, they've had 2 or 3 chances at it. It's just luck of the draw. That was the disappointing thing. I never got to do the open top tour, coach tour, with Chesterfield. I'm not sure why they done it at the start of like pre-season or whenever it was. I was a bit gutted about that because I never got invited back for it. I sort of half expected to hear something, like, do you want to come and ride in an open top bus and have a little bit of fun? But I don't know. I don't know what the situation was there. It was a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, and it's funny, like thinking back. I think it, like you say, I think it was like pre-season, the season after, and it kind of ended at the town hall, which was like a bit. It did almost seem a bit weird that they didn't kind of do something straight away.
Yeah, it's settled a bit then, hasn't it? That people have sort of calmed down a little bit. You still want to be there in the height of the moment, but I don't know why that was.
Yeah, was there ever like a permanent move in the pipeline? Because it all just like it went a bit to pot at the end of that season because Craig Davis left. Loads of loan players went back because like Dean Smalley went back, you went back, and then I've spoken to other players that played that season after, and they said, "Oh, we kind of knew going into the League One season that the squad was nowhere near as good as the League Two squad." Going into it, was there ever the opportunity for you or not?
I would have happily stayed. I wanted to I wanted to sign another year or 2 or whatever. To be honest, whatever the club would take, whatever I'd take from the club. I spoke to John Sheridan on the final day of the season, like, in the bar after, and he said, "Look, Scott, I want to take you. Sort of, I want to like give you a couple of years. I want to sign you." So I'm like, that's brilliant. I'm well up for that. I'll get my agent to like give a shout, and you can organise something. And it's like, yeah, that's brilliant. We'll we'll organise. I can't remember exactly how it went now. But he seemed really so up for it. And I thought, yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm at a club what I like. I love the atmosphere. The fans seem to like me at the moment. Hopefully they still do. And it's a great new stadium, and it's a great bunch of lads. So a couple of weeks went by, haven't heard anything. Tried to ring him, no answer. A couple more weeks, and I don't know what happened. In football, for some reason, people don't seem to tell you anything. And actually, this happened later on in my career, which basically was the thing that definitely put an end to my career. We'll go into that in a minute, but it was the same sort of thing now at this Chesterfield point. I was expecting a phone call. Nothing happened. I tried to get my agent to ring. Nobody answered the phone. And then a little bit later on, we find out that he's signed someone. I don't know whether it is Peterborough being funny about it, or if it was John Sheridan just trying to get a deal. But I think he signed a slightly younger lad on. At the end of the day, money does come into it. Money's always going to be a part of trying to keep the budget down. I mean, I wasn't on a lot. I was on nowhere near as much as some of the other Peterborough players. But from what I heard, this lad was on about half of what I was on, and that may have come into it. I don't know. I mean, you never seem to get to the bottom of these things. But when I come back to Chesterfield, as good as it was, it was noticeably different. The team had changed. Obviously, a lot of players weren't there anymore. The feel, not necessarily the ground or the fans, but the feel in the changing room, it was almost a bit sort of negative. They wasn't doing great at the time, as I remember, and it wasn't quite as there wasn't quite as much cohesion between the players as there was the season before. And as I said, that's such an important thing to have, like that bond. And I mean, obviously, it was hard for myself coming into a squad that many months into the season. Not like at Chesterfield, like the first time where I come in the day before the first game, and it was all right. It was still good, and don't get me wrong, I still would have signed because I love the place. But it was just just a quick loan. I'm not
Yeah, I mean,
quite sure the purpose behind that as well.
it was
I
like
think it was just to cover an injury.
it did feel like we were like the club was trying to do everything to try and come up with a way that kind of worked, because that whole season was a bit of a disaster. One thing I did want to ask is that you played in so I think it was the semi-final of the Johnston's Paint Trophy match at Preston, I think it was.
I think I remember.
Did you ever, and then obviously we went on to win the Paint Trophy that year. Did you get a medal or not for playing in one of those rounds?
I didn't. I've not got the medal. No. So no, I didn't get. Yeah, what's it called? Now you mentioned that, there's probably one or two other times that I probably could have got a medal for something. Like when Dagenham got promoted from League 2 to League 1, I left to go to Peterborough at the end of October, and I know it's only like 3 months of football, like 3 months of games. But when I left them, in my defence, they were top of the league, and they were a few points clear. So where's my medal for taking part in that?
Totally. Yeah.
But I didn't ring him up and like Gaffer, come on, what's going on? Where's my medal? I played my part.
I gave 3 months for the medal.
I was happy for them. But.
So then you ended up kind of getting released from Peterborough, didn't you? And you ended up then at Luton.
Yeah, we sat down, we had a chat, and said, look, said, you're not playing games. The best I can do for you is we can come to I can't think what, like a release fee. So say, look, it's not going to be all your wages. It's just going to be like a percentage, but we'll give you this. So basically they save money. I'll go and get another club. And the idea is that, we part ways on good terms, which we did really. Me and Barry Fry, at least. I can't even remember who was the manager at that point anymore because it had changed hands so many times.
Yeah.
I spent maybe a month, what was it, end of January, so all of February and the first week or two of March thinking, what do I do? Like, what do I do about this situation? And then out of nowhere, up pops John Steele, just signed for Luton Town. And I sort of done the sneaky. I messaged him to have him being there. Oh, congratulations. I mean, you've done well done on a good move. I hope it all goes well for you there. Thinking to myself, come on, email me back. Message me back, text me back. Come on, to ask me to come down. I play the way you want me to. I know everything about you. Come on. And when he replied, I was like, yes, come on. He was like, yeah, why don't you come down and have a chat? And it was like, I don't know if he would have even thought that way or if I planted the seed in his head. But I'm so glad I made that phone call because those remaining 3 months, March, April, May, playing for Luton, it was a good experience. Again, being back under someone that I sort of almost a slightly evolved version of what he was before, because although he's still done the same things, there were improvements to some of the stuff that I saw him do in training that we didn't do at Dagenham. And I don't know if that's because he had more money to buy certain players of a certain standard that could do a different thing. But yeah, to be back under him again was good.
There was a great video. I was just looking on YouTube, like YouTube in your name, a couple of days ago. There's a great video of you dressed as the mascot doing a post-match interview.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun. I walked into the interview room. I was like, yeah, we just need to grab you for 5 minutes after. As I walked in, I've just seen the big head on the side. It's like, I'm going to wear that. It's like, what? What do you mean? I'm going to wear that for the interview. I think it'd be funny. So I was like, okay. So I was like, right, put the hat on, just stood there. And I don't know if people even clocked it at the time, but I was just scratching my my fake eye, like itchy ear or things like that. That was what the older I got, the stupider I become. Like just the silly things, like silly banter. Just don't take yourself too seriously. And I think even now I've got worse as I've got older.
runs over it. Gutchers curls it into the 6-yard box and it's in! It's Scott Griffiths, he's got the goal! He's headed home the free kick from the edge of the 6-yard box. Absolute delight for Scott Griffiths and all the Luton fans and players, because he's got that goal. Everybody celebrates. Luke Gutchers is telling Scott Griffiths to celebrate with the fans, because that's his first goal for Luton Town. Absolutely delighted.
I mean, you've been getting up that left-hand side the last couple of weeks, desperate to get a goal. I remember you trying to get that goal at Alfredton, and you managed to get on the end of one today.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had one hit Cully in the head and knocked him to the ground. I've had one disallowed, and today just jumped up, boom, at that. So yeah, I'm pleased with my goal. Hopefully, I can continue on and get another one sometime in the near future.
Well done today, Scott. And
thank you.
Remove the hat and reveal all. There he is. Gives away. Scott, well done today.
Luton would have been another club that I would, at the age that I was at as well, I would have happily finished my career there. I was 30 at the time, and I truly believe that had I been allowed to, I probably would have maybe retired, maybe just this season, just the end of this season, because I'm still not in too bad a shape now, considering that I don't play and haven't played a game of football since I think I played one resi game for someone on a trial the first half of that following season, but since then it's been like little bits of, like, you know, five-a-side on 3G with mates.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sort of it did hit hard. It was you know, like, sort of all sorts going on, depression, different bits and pieces. I won't darken the podcast too much of any of that. But
well, I was going to say, because obviously one thing that football fans do a lot is they constantly see where players go, and that they follow their careers. And as players, you might not be aware that you're kind of being followed by your ex-clubs, but we always kind of see, oh, such and such signed for such and such, or they've signed for them and stuff like that. But you did kind of disappear after Luton a bit, and it was a bit like,
yeah, that was it. It was heartbreaking, really. Once again, it was hard. I mean, I try not to think about it now because it is hard to sort of deal with. But the situation was, John Steele spoke to me. I can't remember what stage it was. It might have been a bit even around November, December time. He spoke to me on a Thursday afternoon training. He said, "Look, come and see me Monday morning. Like, you know, play this week. Come see me. We'll sort you out. I want to extend your contract for a year." It's like, okay, great. One more year, that suits me. That's perfect. By the end of the weekend, he'd quit because he had an argument with the board. And John Steele does things a certain way. Or this is what I heard, at least. I don't know if it's completely true, but he wanted the backing of 100% of the board, like sort of, you're either with me or against me sort of thing. He had most of them. I think there was one, maybe two, that weren't quite convinced of what he was doing, because he had a method that took time. It wasn't like instant results. And because of that, he walked, or what I was told at least. I think I imagine it's true, but, you know, as I say, you never get to the bottom of it. Yeah. So I'm left thinking, yeah, but you just promised me a year extension. So my contract's up at the end of this season. Then someone comes in temporary, just for, I think it's literally about 5 or 6 games. I don't think it's any more than that. Without even thinking, he brings someone else into left back, puts me on the bench straight away. I'm not quite sure why, if he was just looking, or if he, you know, it happens. People like the way you play. Some people don't like the way you play. And from there, Nathan Jones come in. And I don't say this out of just frustration or spite. He did not give me a single minute of his time to see if he liked me. He didn't play me in reserve games. He didn't play me in the first team. He just gave me zero chance to show. I said, look, please, you haven't even seen me play. Why are you dropping me for someone who's played 4 games in my position. I've played the last 3 years in that position. No one else has come into that position. It's me. You're watching someone who's been there 4 games. Give it, like, at least give me a chance to let you see what I can do. Refuse to take any part in it. Just like, no, not interested. So at that point in my career, my knee, my right knee, which I actually injured when I was 16, and it turns out what I actually done was tore the cartilage when I was 16. Never had it operated on. Played on it. The doctor said the best thing you can do is just keep playing on it until you can't play on it anymore. That season, it was well, for years before that, it was swelling up after games, swelling up after training. Every single game, without fail, for the season before that and that season, I'd have to take anti-inflammatories just to try and get through the game. It got to the point where one game, I think it was against Morecambe under John Steele at Luton in that season, I tried to take something stronger, something that the club doctor recommended. I took them before the game, and I don't remember much about it, but apparently, I got taken off after about 35 minutes. That's the sort of game I was having. I didn't know what was going on. I was just desperate to try and get through these games. Nathan Jones come in, carried on with me being dropped, didn't give me the time of day. So I thought, do you know what? Perfect time to have my operation. Had my operation. This was someone who does operations on footballers all the time. In his words, he's never seen a cartilage as badly shredded as mine. How was I even walking about on it, let alone playing? And I was like, just anti-inflammatory medication. So got through that. Finally got back to fitness a few weeks before the end of the season. Nathan Jones put me in a resi game. So, okay, great. At least I can show you. And then sort of put me in left midfield. I was like, oh, it's all very well, but that's not my position. Like, I'm getting on a bit. I'm a left back. I know how to play the position. It's like it was one of those things. Like, I think it was just to say, I've given you your chance, whatever. So he got to the end of the season, said what I expected him to say. You're not part of my plans. I was like, okay, fair enough. Go and find another club. And this was the stage. This was basically what killed me off. At the time, I spoke to the Newport manager. A few weeks after, I spoke to the Newport manager, and I had knew him previously from being on loan at Rotherham. He was one of the coaches at Rotherham, and he was like, "Yeah, brilliant." I went for a meeting with him, and he said, "Look, I want to sign you for 2 years. I want to give you a 2-year contract. So that's it. We'll talk about fees and everything after. You go away on holiday. When you come back, give us a bell. Come over to the club. We'll sign you, introduce you, and everything." So I go away on holiday, come back. So I ring him, no answer. Next day. This goes on for 2 weeks. Ringing everybody at the club. At this point, I'm ringing him, the coach, trying to find the chairman's number, just the club secretary, anybody, the receptionist at the club, trying to find out why nobody's getting back to me. And all of a sudden, I read 2 weeks later online that they've signed another youth team left back from somewhere on, once again, barely any money. The sort of thing that I would have been like on at Dagenham. And it was like, you've just left me out. You just stitched me right up. If they would have told me, then great. If they'd have told me straight away, fair enough. I could have probably got another club. I spoke to 3 other clubs off the back of that phone call on the same day. And they said, look, we're gutted. We've missed out because last week, all 3 of them in the previous 2 weeks had signed someone on as a left back. And that was it. Game over. I couldn't find a club. And it was just, well, heartbreaking, devastating. So all I could do was go and find something to do as a job, and that was it. I never wanted to play lower league football, sort of to the point of part time, because at that point I'd the season before I just had my son, and I didn't want to spend time away from them if it wasn't worth it, if that makes sense. Like, if I could do football as a job, I could go home after, but I didn't want to be going to work full time doing a job, then missing out on evening time with them. So it was It was hard to swallow, but that was the end of my career.
So, like looking back on your career as a whole, you've obviously done. You must look back quite proud at because you've managed to achieve 3 titles. Not many people.
If I'm looking at achievements, obviously I suppose I've got to be proud of 2 league winning titles. Well, I say 2. I'm counting the Dagenham half a season. 2 conference titles, and the European Challenge Trophy for England. I think I've got my statistics correct when I say that we're the only men's club under the name of England, despite it being England C, that have won anything since 1966. And although obviously it would have been nice for them to win the other night, I was nervous thinking, oh, they better not take my title.
I totally forgot to mention that you played against, was it Netherlands and Northern Ireland, was it?
That's right, yes.
England C?
Yeah, Netherlands at Burton Albion's new ground at the time. Ireland over in Ireland. And that was an interesting game. Not for the least that I looked down about 10 minutes into the game and I was missing a stud. Somehow it had come unscrewed. I was like, oh God, this is going to be a nightmare. Yeah.
And what did you do with your England shirts? Have you got them framed or anything like that?
Actually, give us a second. Oh, sorry. Oh, this is a bit unscripted. Excuse all the mess in the background.
No, this is when we get a tour.
A little tour of that's the right one. So I don't know if you can see it. I've got it in order. So in order of winning, like what year it was won. So there's the Luton one.
Nice. Yeah.
That was the last one I won. Where are we? There it is.
Nice.
That beautiful little gold medal at the bottom. Wonderful.
A nice medal.
Sorry, I'm trying to do this looking at the side on at the screen.
Nice medal.
And I don't know if you can actually see it from this angle. Where is it?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's what I do with all of them. I make sure they're framed. I've got a lovely little framer in the town of Nailsworth. And down the bottom is what's it called? I don't know if you can see that because it's such poor light down here.
You kind of see in the shade.
Just about that. That's the Dagenham one.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, excuse the home tour. But yeah, they all mean the world to me. They're special memories. No more than the other ones, if that makes sense. They're all like, even the England one, that means just as much to me as the other league winning ones. They're all great memories of a great time with fantastic people, of a life that I now miss, but I'll always remember it and always cherish it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, they say it's like less than 1% or whatever it is of people that ever kind of start to dream of playing football when they grow up as a job ever manage to do it. So, I mean, it's a big achievement, isn't it? Just to have been a professional footballer.
I suppose it is. I think I always undercut myself. I'm quite harsh on myself. Like even when I was playing regular in League Two or when I played in the Champ, I'd always say to myself, like, you've not made it yet. You've not made it. And even when I finish my career, I tell people I almost made it. I don't know if that's fair on the actual other people that play in those leagues for me to say that, because I don't mean any disrespect to anybody else, but my level of I made it would have been if I would have played in the Prem. I mean, like everybody's dream, there's probably not a single person, a single child that doesn't at one point dream of playing, if not for their local professional side, for their club. And that would have been the goal. But the level that I played at now, I suppose I've got to give it more credit. Everybody's always telling me, no, like, you've done what thousands of people have dreamed of doing all their lives, and you've actually made it happen. So I suppose I should give myself a little bit more credit than I usually do.
Yeah, definitely. I'd just give me 1 5-minute appearance for Chesterfield. What am I now? 38. Still.
Oh, you're slotting into the centre easy. You're just like a bit of playmaker, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't need to come at the centre circle.
I'm 6'5". Just stick me on as a target man and just lump the ball at my head.
Yeah, front man. Yeah, target man.
Give me
Stick
5
up
minutes. Cool,
Lovely.
great. I'll probably leave it there. It's been yattering on for way too long. But
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's good. Well, thanks so much for coming on. It's been really good to.
No, it's been a real pleasure actually. If you
Chat with you.
like nice memories, speaking about a few nice memories there, and it's been really nice to sort of reminisce about it as well. So thanks.
What's that mean? 2 assists at the end to clinch it?
Well, you do what you got to do, eh?
Well,
we wanted the match more than anybody else in the league, obviously. We needed it, and we pulled through.
You could see that with the ball for Jack, but particularly the one for Dino. You must have absolutely got a right buzz with that one.
Well, I'm obviously extremely pleased. Done it for the team, done it for myself. I mean, we couldn't be picked to the post. We needed to get that win. And obviously the boys' spirit is fantastic, and we've done it!
Well done, Scotty.